and use them effectively. Aberration. Meaning, a departure from what is normal or expected. The scientist's sudden outburst was an aberration from his usual calm demeanor. Abrogate. Meaning, to repeal or do away with a law, right, or formal agreement. The government decided to abrogate outdated regulations. Acquiesce. Meaning, to accept something reluctantly but without protest. She acquiesced to her boss's demands, despite her initial reluctance. Acrimonious. Meaning, angry and bitter. The debate turned acrimonious as the two politicians started exchanging personal insults. Adulation. Meaning, excessive admiration or praise. The celebrity enjoyed the adulation of her fans. Alacrity. Meaning, brisk and cheerful readiness. She accepted the invitation with alacrity. Anathema. Meaning, something or someone that one vehemently dislikes. Violence was anathema to her pacifist beliefs. Aplomb. Meaning, self-confidence or assurance, especially in a demanding situation. He handled the press conference with aplomb. Apocryphal. Meaning, of doubtful authenticity, although widely circulated as being true. The story about the haunted house is probably apocryphal. Assiduous. Meaning, showing great care and perseverance. Her assiduous efforts in studying paid off with excellent exam results. Avarice. Meaning, extreme greed for wealth or material gain. His avarice led him to make unethical business decisions. Belie. Meaning, fail to give a true notion or impression of something. His cheerful demeanor belied the sadness he felt inside. Blithe. Meaning, showing a casual and cheerful indifference considered to be callous or improper. She spoke with blithe disregard for the facts. Boorish. Meaning, rough and bad-mannered, coarse. His boorish behavior at the dinner party offended many guests. Cacophony. Meaning, a harsh, discordant mixture of sounds. The cacophony of horns honking filled the busy street. Capitulate. Meaning, cease to resist an opponent or an unwelcome demand, surrender. The city refused to capitulate even after the long siege. Chicanery. Meaning, the use of trickery to achieve a political, financial, or legal purpose. The politician was accused of chicanery in his campaign. Cognizant. Meaning, having knowledge or being aware of. She was cognizant of the risks involved in the operation. Conflagration. Meaning, an extensive fire that destroys a great deal of land or property. The conflagration destroyed several buildings in the downtown area. Cursory. Meaning, hasty and therefore not thorough or detailed. He gave a cursory glance at the report before the meeting. Deleterious. Meaning, causing harm or damage. The new law could have deleterious effects on small businesses. Demagogue. Meaning, a political leader who seeks support by appealing to the desires and prejudices of ordinary people rather than by using rational argument. The demagogue's speeches incited the crowd to riot. Diatribe. Meaning, a forceful and bitter verbal attack against someone or something. He launched into a diatribe against the company's policies. Dilatory. Meaning, slow to act, intended to cause delay. The senator used dilatory tactics to delay the vote. Dissemble. Meaning, conceal one's true motives, feelings, or beliefs. She tried to dissemble her disappointment with a smile. Dissonance. Meaning, lack of harmony among musical notes or disagreement between people. There was a dissonance between what he said and what he did. Ebullient. Meaning, cheerful and full of energy. Her ebullient personality made her the life of the party. Eclectic. Meaning, deriving ideas, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources. The restaurant offers an eclectic menu featuring dishes from around the world. Effrontery, meaning insolent or impertinent behavior. He had the effrontery to ask for a raise after only working there for 2 months. Egregious, meaning outstandingly bad, shocking. The company's disregard for safety regulations was egregious. Enervate, meaning cause someone to feel drained of energy or vitality. The hot sun enervated the runners in the marathon. Ephemeral, meaning lasting for a very short time. Her joy was ephemeral, fading away within moments. Equivocate, meaning use ambiguous language so as to conceal the truth or avoid committing oneself. The spokesperson equivocated when asked about the company's future plans. Eschew, meaning deliberately avoid using, abstain from. He decided to eschew all social media to focus on his studies. Evanescent, meaning soon passing out of sight, memory, or existence, quickly fading or disappearing. The evanescent rainbow vanished as the sun set. Exculpate, meaning show or declare that someone is not guilty of wrongdoing. The evidence served to exculpate the defendant. Execrable, meaning extremely bad or unpleasant. The food at the restaurant was execrable, and we vowed never to return. Exigent, meaning pressing, demanding. The exigent circumstances required immediate action. Exonerate, meaning absolve someone from blame for a fault or wrongdoing. The DNA evidence helped exonerate the wrongly accused man. Expedient, meaning convenient and practical, although possibly improper or immoral. They found it expedient to ignore the warning signs. Extant, meaning still in existence, surviving. Several manuscripts from the ancient library are still extant. Fatuous, meaning silly and pointless. His fatuous remarks during the meeting were not appreciated. Fecund, meaning producing or capable of producing an abundance of offspring or new growth, fertile. The fecund garden produced a bountiful harvest. Fetter, meaning restrain with chains or manacles, typically around the ankles. The prisoners were fettered to prevent escape. Florid, meaning having a red or flushed complexion, elaborately or excessively intricate. His florid prose made the book difficult to read. Fractious, meaning irritable and quarrelsome. The fractious child would not listen to his parents. Garrulous, meaning excessively talkative, especially on trivial matters. The garrulous old man told stories that seemed never-ending. Germane, meaning relevant to a subject under consideration. Her comments were not germane to the discussion. Harangue, meaning a lengthy and aggressive speech. The politician's harangue failed to persuade the audience. Hegemony, meaning leadership or dominance, especially by one country or social group over others. The country's cultural hegemony was evident in the global influence of its media. Iconoclast, meaning a person who attacks or criticizes cherished beliefs or institutions. As an iconoclast, she challenged the traditional views of society. Impecunious, meaning having little or no money. Despite his impecunious state, he was always generous with what he had. Imperious, meaning assuming power or authority without justification, arrogant and domineering. Her imperious tone left no room for disagreement. Impetuous, meaning acting or done quickly and without thought or care. His impetuous decision to quit his job left him without a backup plan. Inchoate, meaning just begun and so not fully formed or developed, rudimentary. His inchoate ideas needed further development before they could be presented. Juxtapose. Meaning, to place side by side for contrast or comparison. The exhibition juxtaposed modern paintings with classical sculptures. By juxtaposing the two arguments, the writer highlighted their differences. The bright colors of the flowers were juxtaposed against the dark background of the forest. Jettison. Meaning, to discard or abandon something unwanted or burdensome. The crew had to jettison some of the cargo to lighten the load. The company decided to jettison its unprofitable divisions. She decided to jettison her old habits and start anew. Jubilant. Meaning, feeling or expressing great happiness and triumph. The fans were jubilant after their team won the championship. Her jubilant smile was contagious. The jubilant crowd cheered as the fireworks lit up the sky. Judicious. Meaning, having, showing, or done with good judgment or sense. The manager made a judicious decision to invest in new technology. Her judicious use of resources helped the project succeed. Judicious planning can prevent many problems. Jocund. Meaning, cheerful and light-hearted. His jocund personality made him popular among his peers. The jocund atmosphere at the festival was infectious. Her jocund laugh could brighten anyone's day. Jurisprudence. Meaning, the theory or philosophy of law. She decided to study jurisprudence to better understand the legal system. The book explores the evolution of modern jurisprudence. His knowledge of jurisprudence was impressive. Jejune. Meaning, naive, simplistic, and superficial. The book's jejune plot failed to capture the audience's interest. Her jejune comments on the topic showed a lack of understanding. The film received criticism for its jejune portrayal of complex issues. Jingoistic. Meaning, characterized by extreme patriotism, especially in the form of aggressive or warlike foreign policy. The speech was criticized for its jingoistic tone. Jingoistic sentiments were prevalent during the rally. His jingoistic views alienated many of his colleagues. Jocular. Meaning, fond of or characterized by joking, humorous or playful. His jocular remarks lightened the mood of the meeting. She had a jocular nature that made her a favorite among her friends. The professor's jocular manner made his lectures enjoyable. Juvenescence. Meaning, the state or period of being young. The artist's work captures the spirit of juvenescence. The theme of juvenescence runs throughout the novel. Her juvenescence was evident in her boundless energy and enthusiasm. Kaleidoscopic. Meaning, having complex patterns of colors, constantly changing. The city skyline was a kaleidoscopic array of lights and colors. Her memories of the festival were a kaleidoscopic mix of sounds, smells, and sights. The artist's kaleidoscopic paintings captivated the gallery visitors. Keen. Meaning, having or showing eagerness or enthusiasm, sharp or penetrating. She has a keen interest in astronomy. He has a keen eye for detail, which makes him an excellent editor. The keen wind cut through their jackets, chilling them to the bone. Kinetic. Meaning, relating to or resulting from motion. The kinetic energy of the moving car was harnessed to power the city. His kinetic sculpture seemed to defy gravity. The dancer's kinetic performance left the audience in awe. Kitsch. Meaning, art, objects, or design considered to be in poor taste because of excessive garishness or sentimentality, but sometimes appreciated in an ironic or knowing way. The living room was filled with kitsch ornaments from the 1970s. Despite its kitsch aesthetic, the film gained a cult following. The gift shop was a treasure trove of kitsch souvenirs. Knave. Meaning, a dishonest or unscrupulous man. He was known as a knave who would cheat anyone for a quick profit. The story's villain was a knave with no sense of honor. Beware of that knave, his intentions are not good. Knavish. Meaning, dishonest or unscrupulous. His knavish behavior finally caught up with him when he was arrested. The knavish tricks he played on his friends were no longer amusing. She saw through his knavish smile and refused to trust him. Kudos. Meaning, praise and honor received for an achievement. She received kudos for her innovative design. Kudos to the team for completing the project ahead of schedule. The author earned kudos from critics and readers alike. Kafkaesque. Meaning, marked by a senseless, disorienting, often menacing complexity. The bureaucratic process was so Kafkaesque that he felt trapped in a nightmare. Living in that oppressive regime was a Kafkaesque experience. The novel's Kafkaesque plot left readers feeling both intrigued and disturbed. Kineticist. Meaning, an artist who works with kinetic art, which involves movement. As a kineticist, he created sculptures that moved with the wind. The exhibition featured several kineticists who explored motion in art. Her work as a kineticist challenged traditional notions of static art. Knell. Meaning, the sound of a bell, especially when rung solemnly for a death or funeral, used metaphorically to indicate the end of something. The knell of the church bell marked the end of an era. His resignation was the death knell for the failing company. The distant knell added to the somber mood of the evening. Lachrymose. Meaning, tearful or given to weeping, inducing tears. The Lachrymose movie left the entire audience in tears. She became lachrymose at the thought of leaving her childhood home. His lachrymose performance moved even the toughest critics. Laconic. Meaning, using very few words. His laconic response left everyone in the meeting wanting more information. The laconic speech was effective, getting straight to the point. She was known for her laconic wit and dry sense of humor. Largesse. Meaning, generosity in bestowing money or gifts upon others. The philanthropist was known for her largesse, donating millions to charity. Thanks to the largesse of its donors, the museum was able to expand. His largesse extended beyond his family, helping the entire community. Lassitude. Meaning, a state of physical or mental weariness, lack of energy. After the marathon, he was overcome with lassitude. The lassitude she felt after the long flight was overwhelming. The hot weather induced a feeling of lassitude in everyone. Latent. Meaning, existing but not yet developed or manifest, hidden or concealed. The disease can remain latent for years before symptoms appear. Her latent talent for painting emerged later in life. The investigation uncovered latent biases within the organization. Laudable. Meaning, deserving praise and commendation. Her dedication to volunteer work is truly laudable. The student's laudable efforts were recognized with an award. He made a laudable attempt to improve community relations. Lugubrious. Meaning, looking or sounding sad and dismal. His lugubrious expression suggested that something was wrong. The lugubrious music set the tone for the summer ceremony. She spoke in a lugubrious tone, reflecting her disappointment. Lurid. Meaning, very vivid in color, especially so as to create an unpleasantly harsh or unnatural effect, presented in vividly shocking or sensational terms. The tabloid was filled with lurid stories about celebrities. The lurid colors of the painting were almost blinding. The lurid details of the crime shocked the community. Luminous. Meaning, full of or shedding light, bright or shining, especially in the dark. The luminous stars lit up the night sky. Her luminous smile brightened up the room. The luminous dial on the watch made it easy to read in the dark. Lurid. Meaning, very vivid in color, especially so as to create an unpleasantly harsh or unnatural effect, presented in vividly shocking or sensational terms. The tabloid was filled with lurid stories about celebrities. The lurid colors of the painting were almost blinding. The lurid details of the crime shocked the community. Luminous, meaning, full of or shedding light, bright or shining, especially in the dark. The luminous stars lit up the night sky. Her luminous smile brightened up the room. The luminous dial on the watch made it easy to read in the dark. Magnanimous, meaning, very generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or someone less powerful than oneself. Despite their bitter rivalry, he was magnanimous in victory. Her magnanimous donation helped rebuild the community center. The leader showed a magnanimous spirit by forgiving past grievances. Mellifluous, meaning, sweet or musical, pleasant to hear. Her voice had a mellifluous quality that captivated the audience. The mellifluous melody of the piano concerto filled the concert hall. He was known for his mellifluous speeches that inspired many. Mendacious, meaning, not telling the truth, lying. The mendacious politician's promises were met with skepticism. Her mendacious statements during the trial led to her downfall. The tabloid published a mendacious story about the celebrity. Mercurial, meaning, subject to sudden or unpredictable changes of mood or mind. His mercurial temperament made it difficult to predict his reactions. The stock market is known for its mercurial fluctuations. She was described as mercurial, alternating between deep sorrow and wild joy. Meticulous, meaning, showing great attention to detail, very careful and precise. The artist's meticulous brushstrokes brought the portrait to life. She was praised for her meticulous planning of the event. His meticulous research was evident in the thoroughness of his thesis. Munificent, meaning, very generous, characterized by great generosity. The billionaire's munificent donation to the hospital saved many lives. Her munificent gift to the university funded scholarships for underprivileged students. The king was known for his munificent patronage of the arts. Myriad, meaning, a countless or extremely great number of people or things. The internet offers a myriad of resources for learning. The myriad stars twinkled in the night sky. She faced myriad challenges on her journey to success. Myopic, meaning, lacking foresight or intellectual insight, nearsighted. The company's myopic focus on short-term profits led to long-term losses. His myopic worldview prevented him from seeing the bigger picture. The myopic policies of the government failed to address future needs. Mendicant, meaning, a beggar, someone who lives by asking for money or food. The city streets were filled with mendicants asking for spare change. She volunteered at the shelter to help feed the mendicants. In medieval times, mendicants relied on the generosity of passers-by. Maverick, meaning, an unorthodox or independent-minded person, a nonconformist. He was known as a maverick entrepreneur who revolutionized the industry. Her maverick approach to problem-solving often yielded innovative solutions. The artist was considered a maverick for her unconventional style. Nefarious, meaning, wicked, villainous, or criminal in nature. The nefarious activities of the organized crime syndicate were finally exposed. He had a reputation for nefarious dealings in the business world. The novel's plot centered around a nefarious plot to overthrow the government. Nebulous, meaning, hazy, vague, or indistinct. Her memories of that day were nebulous, clouded by time. The concept of happiness is often nebulous and hard to define. The candidate's promises were criticized for being nebulous and lacking specifics. Nephelibator, meaning, a person who lives in the clouds of their own imagination or dreams, an unconventional thinker. She was considered an ephelibator, always lost in her own creative world. As a writer, he often portrayed characters who were ephelibators, disconnected from societal norms. The artist's paintings reflected the mind of an ephelibator, filled with surreal imagery. Nihilism. Meaning, the rejection of all religious and moral principles, the belief that life is meaningless. The novel explored themes of existential nihilism. His nihilism led him to question the purpose of existence. The movement was characterized by its nihilistic philosophy. Nocturnal. Meaning, active or occurring at night. Owls are nocturnal birds, hunting prey under the cover of darkness. The nocturnal noises of the city kept her awake. His nocturnal habits meant he was most productive during late hours. Nadir. Meaning, the lowest point in the fortunes of a person or organization. After the scandal, his career reached its nadir. The country's economy hit its nadir during the recession. Despite reaching the nadir, she remained determined to bounce back. Nepotism. Meaning, the practice of favoring relatives or friends, especially by giving them jobs or opportunities. The company's hiring practices were criticized for nepotism. Nepotism often leads to resentment among employees. He secured the position through nepotism rather than merit. Nascent. Meaning, just coming into existence and beginning to display signs of future potential. The nascent democracy faced many challenges in its early years. Her nascent talent for painting showed great promise. The nascent technology would revolutionize the industry. Nostalgia. Meaning, a sentimental longing or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. Listening to old songs filled her with nostalgia for her youth. The town's annual fair evoked feelings of nostalgia among the residents. Nostalgia for her childhood home made her visit every summer. Nefandous. Meaning, unspeakable, abominable, or heinous. The nefandous crime shocked the entire community. He was accused of committing nefandous acts against innocent civilians. The novel depicted a series of nefandous events that left readers horrified. Obfuscate. Meaning, to deliberately make something unclear or difficult to understand. The spokesperson obfuscated the truth during the press conference. His convoluted explanations only served to obfuscate the issue further. The writer's dense prose obfuscated the underlying message of the novel. Obsequious. Meaning, excessively obedient or attentive to an excessive degree, typically in order to gain favor. The obsequious waiter hovered nearby, eager to fulfill any request. His obsequious behavior towards his boss bordered on sycophantic. She received obsequious praise from her colleagues after the successful presentation. Obstreperous. Meaning, noisy and difficult to control, unruly. The obstreperous crowd outside the stadium demanded entrance. Her obstreperous children caused chaos at the family gathering. The obstreperous debate in the parliament lasted late into the night. Ostensible. Meaning, stated or appearing to be true, but not necessarily so. His ostensible reason for resigning was health issues, but rumors suggested other motives. The company's ostensible commitment to environmental sustainability was questioned by activists. The ostensible purpose of the meeting was to discuss budget cuts, but the real agenda remained hidden. Oblique. Meaning, not straightforward, indirect. She gave him an oblique glance that hinted at her disapproval. His oblique references to the incident left everyone puzzled. The artist's oblique approach to storytelling challenged traditional narrative structures. Ostracize. Meaning, exclude someone from a society or group. He was ostracized by his colleagues after the scandal. She felt ostracized when her ideas were constantly ignored. The community chose to ostracize the troublemakers to maintain peace. Onerous. Meaning, involving a great amount of effort, difficulty, or responsibility. The new regulations placed an onerous burden on small businesses. Her onerous workload left her with little time for relaxation. He faced onerous challenges in his quest to climb Mount Everest. Pernicious. Meaning, having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. The pernicious effects of gossip can destroy trust within a community. He warned about the pernicious influence of social media on young minds. Her pernicious habits eventually caught up with her, leading to health problems. Parsimonious. Meaning, unwilling to spend money or use resources, stingy or frugal. His parsimonious nature made him reluctant to donate to charity. The company's parsimonious approach to employee benefits resulted in low morale. She was known for her parsimonious spending habits, always looking for the best deals. Penultimate. Meaning, second to last in a series, next to last. The penultimate chapter of the book revealed a surprising twist. He finished in the penultimate position in the race, just missing out on a medal. The penultimate episode of the TV series left viewers eagerly anticipating the finale. Perfidious. Meaning, deceitful and untrustworthy. The perfidious actions of the spy jeopardized national security. Her perfidious behavior towards her friends eventually led to her isolation. The perfidious politician betrayed his promises to the electorate. Panacea. Meaning, a solution or remedy for all difficulties or diseases, a cure-all. They believed that education was the panacea for all social problems. The new technology was hailed as a panacea for productivity issues in the workplace. There is no single panacea for poverty, it requires a multifaceted approach. Precarious. Meaning, not securely held or in position, dangerously likely to fall or collapse. She balanced the vase in a precarious position on the edge of the table. His job situation became precarious after the company announced layoffs. The peace agreement remained in a precarious state, with tensions ready to escalate. Pristine. Meaning, in its original condition, unspoiled or untouched. The archaeologists discovered a pristine artifact from ancient times. The beach was pristine, with clear blue waters and white sand. Her handwriting was so neat and pristine that it looked typed. Pugnacious. Meaning, eager or quick to argue, quarrel, or fight. His pugnacious attitude often led to conflicts with his colleagues. The boxer's pugnacious style made him a formidable opponent in the ring. The politician's pugnacious rhetoric heightened tensions during the debate. Prodigious. Meaning, remarkably or impressively great in extent, size, or degree. She had a prodigious memory, able to recall details from years ago. The artist's prodigious talent was evident in every brushstroke. The company experienced prodigious growth, expanding its operations globally. Platitude. Meaning, a remark or statement, especially one with a moral content, that has been used too often to be interesting or thoughtful. Her speech was filled with meaningless platitudes that failed to inspire. He responded with a platitude about hard work being the key to success. The coach's halftime talk was filled with platitudes rather than actionable advice. Quixotic. Meaning, extremely idealistic, unrealistic and impractical. His quixotic quest for perfection left him dissatisfied with every achievement. The politician's quixotic promises appealed to voters but raised doubts among analysts. She embarked on a quixotic mission to solve world hunger single-handedly. Querulous. Meaning, complaining in a petulant or whining manner. The querulous customer demanded to speak to the manager. His querulous tone irritated everyone in the meeting. She grew tired of his querulous complaints about the weather. Quotidian. Meaning, occurring daily, commonplace or ordinary. His life was filled with quotidian routines, waking up, going to work, coming home. She found solace in the beauty of quotidian moments, like the sunrise each morning. The poet captured the essence of quotidian life in his simple yet profound verses. Quandary. Meaning, a state of perplexity or uncertainty over what to do in a difficult situation. She found herself in a quandary when offered two equally attractive job offers. The team was in a quandary about how to proceed after the project deadline was moved up. He faced a moral quandary when asked to compromise his principles for personal gain. Quintessential. Meaning, representing the most perfect or typical example of equality or class. He was the quintessential gentleman, always polite and considerate. The film was the quintessential romantic comedy, with all the classic elements. Her paintings are considered the quintessential expression of abstract art. Quell. Meaning, suppress or crush completely. The police were called in to quell the rioting protesters. She tried to quell her anger before responding. His reassuring words helped to quell the fears of the anxious crowd. Quiescent. Meaning, in a state or period of inactivity or dormancy. The volcano appeared quiescent for many years before suddenly erupting. After a busy day, the city streets were quiescent in the late hours of the night. The patient's symptoms were quiescent, indicating a period of remission. Quixotism. Meaning, idealism without regard to practicality, impracticality in pursuit of ideals, especially those relating to chivalry and romanticism. His quixotism led him to believe he could single-handedly solve global poverty. The novel's protagonist was admired for his quixotism but criticized for his lack of realism. Quixotism in politics often leads to disappointment when expectations collide with reality. Quotient. Meaning, a degree or amount of a specified quality or characteristic. Her emotional quotient, EQ, was higher than her intelligence quotient, IQ. The success quotient of the company was attributed to its innovative strategies. The quotient of trust between them had diminished over time. Quintessence. Meaning, the most perfect or typical example of equality or class. His speech was the quintessence of eloquence and persuasion. The dish was the quintessence of French cuisine. The novel's protagonist embodied the quintessence of heroism and sacrifice. Reticent. Meaning, inclined to be silent or uncommunicative in speech, reserved. She was reticent about her past, preferring not to discuss it. The usually reticent CEO surprised everyone with a candid interview. He remained reticent throughout the meeting, listening more than speaking. Rancorous. Meaning, characterized by bitterness or resentment. Their rancorous relationship began after a disagreement over business practices. The rancorous debate in Parliament led to heated exchanges between members. She harbored rancorous feelings towards her former friend after the betrayal. Redolent. Meaning, strongly reminiscent or suggestive of something, fragrant or aromatic. The old house was redolent of memories from her childhood. The air was redolent with the scent of blooming flowers. His cooking was redolent of spices and herbs from his homeland. Sycophant. Meaning, a person who acts obsequiously towards someone important in order to gain advantage, a servile flatterer. The CEO surrounded himself with sycophants who praised his every decision. She rose to power by ingratiating herself with the sycophants in the political elite. His success was partly due to his ability to recognize sycophants and use them to his advantage. Sagacious. Meaning, having or showing keen mental discernment and good judgment, wise or shrewd. The sagacious judge carefully considered all aspects of the case before delivering her verdict. His sagacious advice helped steer the company through turbulent times. She was known for her sagacious insights into human behavior. Sanguine. Meaning, optimistic or positive, especially in an apparently difficult or bad situation. Despite the setbacks, she remained sanguine about the project's chances of success. His sanguine outlook on life inspired those around him during tough times. The team remained sanguine despite the early defeat, believing they could still win the championship. Serendipity. Meaning, the occurrence of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. Their meeting was pure serendipity, leading to a lifelong friendship. She found the perfect job through sheer serendipity, stumbling upon an advertisement by accident. Serendipity often plays a significant role in scientific discoveries. Sophistry. Meaning, the use of clever but false arguments, especially with the intention of deceiving. His speech was filled with sophistry, twisting facts to support his agenda. The lawyer's sophistry failed to convince the jury of his client's innocence. Beware of politicians who rely on sophistry rather than honest debate. Surreptitious. Meaning, kept secret, especially because it would not be approved of. He made a surreptitious glance at his watch during the meeting. The smugglers operated with surreptitious movements to avoid detection. Her surreptitious visits to the forbidden area raised suspicion among her colleagues. Soporific. Meaning, tending to induce drowsiness or sleep. The soporific effect of the lecture made it difficult for students to stay awake. She found the music to be soothing but soporific, often putting her to sleep. The warm, dimly lit room had a soporific effect on the guests. Sardonic. Meaning, grimly mocking or cynical. His sardonic humor often left people uncertain whether he was joking or serious. She responded to his criticism with a sardonic smile. The comedian's sardonic wit made his performances both entertaining and thought-provoking. Solipsistic. Meaning, relating to or characterized by solipsism, which is the philosophical idea that only one's mind is sure to exist. His solipsistic worldview made it difficult for him to empathize with others. The novel delves into the solipsistic thoughts of the protagonist. Her solipsistic tendencies isolated her from forming meaningful relationships. Solecism. Meaning, a grammatical mistake or a breach of good manners, a piece of incorrect behavior. Using less instead of fewer is considered a solecism in formal writing. His outburst at the party was a solecism that offended many guests. She was embarrassed by her inadvertent solecism during the diplomatic meeting. Taciturn. Meaning, inclined to silence, reserved in speech, reluctant to join in conversation. The taciturn man rarely spoke at social gatherings. Her taciturn nature often led others to perceive her as aloof. Despite his taciturn demeanor, he was a thoughtful listener. Tantamount. Meaning, equivalent in seriousness to, virtually the same as. His refusal to apologize was tantamount to admitting guilt. The decision to close the factory was tantamount to putting hundreds out of work. Her action was tantamount to betrayal in the eyes of her closest friends. Trepidation. Meaning, a feeling of fear or agitation about something that may happen. He approached the podium with trepidation, fearing he might forget his speech. Her heart raced with trepidation as she waited for the exam results. The soldiers felt a sense of trepidation before entering the battlefield. Truculent. Meaning, eager or quick to argue or fight, aggressively defiant. The truculent student was often involved in conflicts with his classmates. Her truculent response to criticism only escalated the situation. The truculent attitude of the protesters led to clashes with law enforcement. Tenuous. Meaning, very weak or slight, insubstantial. The tenuous connection between the two events was difficult to prove. Her grasp on reality became increasingly tenuous as the illness progressed. They maintained a tenuous peace agreement that could be easily broken. Truncate. Meaning, to shorten by cutting off a part, to cut short. Due to time constraints, they had to truncate their presentation. The storm truncated their vacation plans, forcing them to return home early. He decided to truncate his novel, removing unnecessary chapters to improve pacing. Trenchant. Meaning, vigorous or incisive in expression or style, sharply perceptive. She offered trenchant criticism of the government's economic policies. His trenchant wit made him a formidable debater. The author's trenchant observations on society resonated with readers. Temerity. Meaning, excessive confidence or boldness, audacity. She had the temerity to challenge the CEO's decision in front of the entire board. His temerity in asking for a raise after only a month on the job surprised his colleagues. The temerity of his remarks left everyone in the room speechless. Torpid. Meaning, mentally or physically inactive, lethargic. The torpid heat of the afternoon made everyone sleepy. His torpid performance in the game disappointed his fans. After the heavy meal, she felt torpid and unable to concentrate. Transcendent. Meaning, beyond or above the range of normal or merely physical human experience, surpassing usual limits. The artist's work was described as transcendent, capturing emotions beyond words. Her performance on stage was transcendent, leaving the audience in awe. They shared a transcendent moment of understanding that strengthened their bond. Ubiquitous. Meaning, present, appearing, or found everywhere. In today's digital age, smartphones are ubiquitous. The company's advertisements were ubiquitous, appearing on billboards, TV, and social media. English has become a ubiquitous language in international business. Utopian. Meaning, modeled on or aiming for a state in which everything is perfect, idealistic. Their plan for a self-sustaining commune was utopian but ultimately unsustainable. The novel depicted a utopian society where poverty and crime had been eliminated. She held utopian beliefs about achieving world peace through diplomacy alone. Unctuous. Meaning, excessively or ingratiatingly flattering, oily. The salesperson's unctuous smile made her suspicious of his intentions. He delivered his speech with an unctuous tone, hoping to win over the skeptical audience. Her unctuous behavior towards the boss was transparent to everyone in the office. Umbrage. Meaning, offense or annoyance, usually as a result of a perceived insult. He took umbrage at her remarks, feeling they were directed at him personally. She resigned from the committee after taking umbrage at their decision. The artist's work was criticized, causing umbrage among his supporters. Unilateral. Meaning, involving only one part or side, undertaken or done by one person or party. The CEO made a unilateral decision to cut costs without consulting the board. The peace treaty was unilateral, with only one country signing the agreement. She filed for divorce after years of unilateral decisions made by her spouse. Usurp. Meaning, take a position of power or importance, illegally or by force. The military coup attempted to usurp the government. He was accused of trying to usurp his colleague's position in the company. The rebel group sought to usurp control of the region from the ruling regime. Ubiquity. Meaning, the state or capacity of being everywhere, especially at the same time, omnipresence. The ubiquity of social media has changed how people communicate. The ubiquity of fast food chains in urban areas is a sign of globalization. She marveled at the ubiquity of technology in daily life. Vicarious. Meaning, experienced in the imagination through the feelings or actions of another person. She experienced a vicarious thrill watching her daughter perform on stage. Reading about his adventures abroad gave her a sense of vicarious excitement. He lived vicariously through his son's achievements in sports. Voracious. Meaning, wanting or devouring great quantities of food, information, or other things. She had a voracious appetite and could eat twice as much as anyone else. He was a voracious reader, finishing several books a week. The company's expansion was driven by a voracious demand for their products. Vicissitude. Meaning, a change of circumstances or fortune, typically one that is unwelcome or unpleasant. He had experienced many vicissitudes in his career, from successes to setbacks. The vicissitudes of life had taught her resilience and adaptability. The company weathered economic vicissitudes over the years. Vicenile. Meaning, relating to or occurring every 20 years. The school celebrated its vicenile reunion with a grand event. The vicenile anniversary of their marriage was marked with a special trip. The city hosted a vicenile festival to commemorate its founding. Veracity. Meaning, conformity to facts, accuracy. Her veracity as a witness was unquestionable, as she always told the truth. The journalist's commitment to veracity in reporting was evident in every article. The veracity of his claims was confirmed by multiple reliable sources. Vitriolic. Meaning, filled with bitter criticism or malice. She unleashed a vitriolic attack on her opponent during the debate. His vitriolic comments about the company's policies offended many employees. The review was unexpectedly vitriolic, criticizing every aspect of the performance. Vacillate. Meaning, alternate or waver between different opinions or actions, be indecisive. She vacillated between accepting the job offer and staying at her current position. The government vacillated on its stance regarding environmental regulations. His vacillating behavior frustrated his friends who were trying to make plans. Vicinity. Meaning, the area near or surrounding a particular place. There were no hotels in the immediate vicinity of the airport. The suspect was last seen in the vicinity of the crime scene. They explored the shops and restaurants in the vicinity of the hotel. Vexatious. Meaning, causing or tending to cause annoyance, frustration, or worry. Dealing with the bureaucracy proved to be a vexatious process. Her constant questions became vexatious to the teacher, disrupting the class. The ongoing legal disputes were vexatious for both parties involved. Veneration. Meaning, great respect, reverence. The elder statesman was held in veneration by all who knew him. The tradition of veneration towards ancestors was deeply rooted in their culture. The artist received veneration for his contributions to the art world. Welter. Meaning, a large number of items in a confused or jumbled mass, a state of confusion. The office was in a welter of paperwork after the merger. The city was in a welter of excitement as it prepared for the big festival. She sorted through the welter of opinions to find a consensus. Winsome. Meaning, attractive or appealing in appearance, character, or manner. Her winsome smile charmed everyone at the party. He was known for his winsome personality and ability to make friends easily. The child's winsome innocence captured the hearts of the audience. Whimsical. Meaning, playfully quaint or fanciful, especially in an appealing and amusing way. The artist's whimsical paintings evoked a sense of childlike wonder. She wore a whimsical hat adorned with feathers and glitter. His whimsical sense of humor often left his friends laughing uncontrollably. Wraith. Meaning, a ghost or ghost-like image of someone, especially one seen shortly before or after their death. They claimed to have seen a wraith wandering the halls of the old mansion. The eerie wraith of the deceased painter appeared in the photograph. She felt a chill as if a wraith had passed through the room. Wry. Meaning, using or expressing dry, especially mocking, humor. He gave her a wry smile, knowing she didn't believe his excuse. Her wry commentary on the political situation made everyone chuckle. He had a wry sense of humor that often caught people off guard. Wherewithal. Meaning, the money or other means needed for a particular purpose. They lacked the wherewithal to fund the ambitious project. She managed to find the wherewithal to start her own business. The organization provided the wherewithal for disadvantaged students to attend college. Wistful. Meaning, having or showing a feeling of vague or regretful longing. She gazed out the window with a wistful expression, remembering her childhood. His wistful smile revealed his longing for simpler times. The wistful melody reminded her of the summers spent by the lake. Welterweight. Meaning, a weight division in boxing and other sports, intermediate between lightweight and middleweight. He trained hard to compete as a welterweight in the upcoming championship. The welterweight bout was scheduled to be the main event of the evening. She won the welterweight title after a grueling match. Waggish. Meaning, humorous in a playful, mischievous, or witty manner. His waggish sense of humor lightened the mood during tense moments. She enjoyed his waggish remarks at the dinner party. The comedian's waggish antics kept the audience laughing throughout the show. Wherewithal. Meaning, the money or other means needed for a particular purpose. They lacked the wherewithal to fund the ambitious project. She managed to find the wherewithal to start her own business. The organization provided the wherewithal for disadvantaged students to attend college. Xenophobia. Meaning, intense or irrational dislike or fear of people from other countries. The rise in xenophobia has led to increased tension between communities. His xenophobia made it difficult for him to interact with international colleagues. Xenophobia often stems from ignorance and lack of exposure to other cultures. Xeric. Meaning, characterized by, or adapted to, a dry habitat, arid. Cacti are xeric plants, well suited to desert conditions. The xeric climate of the region limited the types of vegetation that could grow. Xeric adaptations allow certain animals to survive in harsh desert environments. Xenogenesis. Meaning, the production of offspring that are markedly different from either parent, heterogenesis. In science fiction, xenogenesis often involves the creation of hybrid species. Xenogenesis can occur naturally in certain species as a result of genetic mutations. The study of xenogenesis sheds light on evolutionary processes and genetic diversity. Xenolithic. Meaning, relating to a xenolith, a rock fragment foreign to the igneous rock in which it is embedded. The geologist found an interesting xenolithic inclusion in the volcanic rock. Xenolithic studies provide insights into the geological history of the Earth. Identifying xenolithic material helps geologists understand magma formation processes. Xanthic. Meaning, of, relating to, or having a yellowish color. The xanthic tint of the sky during sunset was breathtaking. She chose a xanthic shade for her bedroom walls to create a warm and inviting atmosphere. Certain flowers exhibit xanthic hues that attract pollinators. Xerophyte. Meaning, a plant that is adapted to survive in a dry or arid environment. Cacti are classic examples of xerophytes, thriving in desert conditions. Xerophytes have specialized adaptations such as water-storing tissues and reduced leaf surfaces. Botanists study xerophytes to understand how plants can survive in extreme climates. Xenochrist. Meaning, a crystal in an igneous rock that is foreign to the body of rock in which it occurs. The presence of xenochrists in volcanic rocks suggests complex magma mixing processes. Xenochrists can provide clues about the source and history of volcanic eruptions. Analyzing xenochrists helps geologists reconstruct the geological evolution of regions. Xenogamy. Meaning, cross-fertilization, fertilization of a flower by pollen from a flower on a different plant. Xenogamy promotes genetic diversity in plant populations. The study of xenogamy in flowering plants reveals intricate reproductive strategies. Certain species rely on xenogamy for successful pollination and seed production. Xiphoid. Meaning, resembling a sword, sword-shaped. The xiphoid process is a sword-shaped extension of the sternum. Xiphoid leaves are narrow and taper to a sharp point. The ancient artifact had a distinctive xiphoid shape. Xenolithic. Meaning, containing or composed of xenoliths. The xenolithic nature of the rock indicated significant geological processes. Xenolithic inclusions provide valuable insights into the composition of magma chambers. Geologists study xenolithic material to understand the history of volcanic activity. Yoke. Meaning, a wooden cross piece that is fastened over the necks of two animals and attached to the plough or cart they are to pull, a symbol of oppression or subjugation. The oxen were harnessed together by a heavy yoke. The protesters viewed the new law as a yoke imposed upon their freedoms. They broke free from the yoke of tyranny through a successful revolution. Yen. Meaning, a strong desire or craving. She had a yen for adventure and traveled to remote places. His yen for knowledge led him to pursue advanced degrees in multiple fields. The chef's special dish satisfied her yen for gourmet cuisine. Yell. Meaning, a loud, long cry of pain, distress, or anger, to utter a yell. The cat let out a yell when it got its tail caught in the door. A distant yowl echoed through the forest, signaling the presence of wolves. He let out a yowl of frustration when he realized he had missed his flight. Yeah. Meaning, quick, agile, or lively in movement, ready. The yacht responded to the sailor's commands with year movements. She was year and prepared for any challenge that came her way. The gymnast's year reflexes enabled her to perform complex routines flawlessly. Yonder. Meaning, at some distance in the direction indicated, over there. Look yonder. I think I see the castle on the hill. She pointed yonder to where the deer were grazing peacefully. Yonder lies the village where my ancestors lived. Yen. Meaning, the basic monetary unit of Japan. He exchanged his dollars for yen before traveling to Tokyo. The yen has strengthened against the US dollar in recent months. She calculated the cost of the trip in yen to plan her budget. Yen. Meaning, a strong desire or inclination, a yearning or craving. She had a yen for spicy food and tried every new restaurant in town. His yen for adventure led him to explore remote and dangerous regions. The author's yen for knowledge is evident in the depth of research in her books. Yeoman. Meaning, an attendant, servant, or lesser official in a royal or noble household. The yeoman served the king faithfully for many years. In medieval times, yeomen were responsible for maintaining order in the castle. The yeoman's duties included overseeing the livestock and grounds. Yoke. Meaning, to link or join together, to bring under control or subjection. They yoked the oxen together to plough the field. The dictator sought to yoke the media to control public opinion. She yoked her passions with reason to make wise decisions. Yen. Meaning, a unit of currency in Japan. He exchanged his dollars for yen before traveling to Tokyo. The yen has strengthened against the US dollar in recent months. She calculated the cost of the trip in yen to plan her budget. Zenith. Meaning, the highest point reached by a celestial or other object, the peak. The sun was at its zenith, casting a harsh light over the desert. Her career reached its zenith when she was promoted to CEO. The team's victory marked the zenith of their season. Zephyr. Meaning, a gentle, mild breeze. They enjoyed the cool zephyr that swept across the beach. A zephyr rustled the leaves, creating a soothing sound. The zephyr carried the scent of wildflowers through the meadow. Zealot. Meaning, a person who is fanatical and uncompromising in pursuit of their religious, political, or other ideals. The zealot preached tirelessly on the streets, hoping to convert passers-by. She was known as a zealot for animal rights, protesting against any form of cruelty. Political zealots clashed with law enforcement during the demonstration. Zest. Meaning, great enthusiasm and energy. She tackled every task with zest and determination. His zest for life was contagious, inspiring everyone around him. The chef added lemon zest to the dish to enhance its flavor. Zephyrus. Meaning, relating to or resembling a zephyr, gentle or mild. The Zephyrus breeze provided relief from the sweltering heat. They sat under the Zephyrus shade of the old oak tree. Her voice had a Zephyrus quality, calming everyone who listened. Zen. Meaning, a school of Mahayana Buddhism that emphasizes the practice of meditation as the means to enlightenment. She studied Zen philosophy under a renowned teacher. The Zen garden was designed to promote tranquility and reflection. Practicing Zen meditation helped him find inner peace. Zeitgeist. Meaning, the defining spirit or mood of a particular period of history as shown by the ideas and beliefs of the time. The art of the Renaissance captured that zeitgeist of humanism and cultural rebirth. The political upheavals of the 1960s reflected the countercultural zeitgeist of the era. The fashion of the 1920s epitomized that zeitgeist of freedom and modernity. Ziggurat. Meaning, a rectangular stepped tower, sometimes surmounted by a temple, characteristic of ancient Mesopotamian architecture. The ziggurat was a sacred structure dedicated to the city's patron deity. Archaeologists uncovered the remains of a ziggurat in the ancient city. The ziggurat symbolized the connection between heaven and earth in Mesopotamian culture. Zoetic. Meaning, of or relating to life, living, vital. The zoetic energy of the forest was palpable. They marveled at the zoetic diversity of marine life in the coral reef. Her artwork captured the zoetic beauty of the natural world. Zaftig. Meaning, of a woman, having a full, rounded figure, pleasantly plump. The actress embraced her zaftig physique and refused to conform to Hollywood's standards. In some cultures, a zaftig figure is considered a sign of health and beauty. She portrayed a zaftig character in the play, challenging stereotypes about body image. These words can enrich your vocabulary and provide you with more precise ways to express ideas and concepts in various contexts.